Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Mark O'Brien, and I'll be handling the introductions portion of today's webcast. This is a quarterly webcast that we do for the CA2E and CA Plex communities worldwide. And today I'm joined by several other speakers. Roger Griffith, who's our user community president, and then John Rhodes has got some technical words about the latest in Plex and TUI goings on. And then we'll get right into our three lightning talks. Jordy Castillo and Kiyoshi were the session winners at our 14th conference last October. And then Michael Morgan of Mid-Range Dynamics is going to talk about IBMI and optimizing that. And then some poll questions. And as often the case, we'll be starting off with a poll question right now, which is, what version of CA2E are you using? And then the second question will be, which version of Plex are you using? And if your organization has both, then you can answer both, or just say you don't use 2E, for example, if you're a Plex user. Well, that's good. The 21% of you said that 874 that you're on, which is really good, and 873, which is currently supported, and then 871 or 2 are, I believe, have already been no longer supported, and as well as 86, so forth. So anyway, and then obviously some of you are Plex users. So let's go with the second poll question. Which version of Plex are you on? So a few 13% are at 7.3. Half of as many more are at 7.21, and even some at prior to 7.21. And then obviously the TUI users aren't using Plex. So that's interesting, because we've got some updates for both TUI and Plex this morning that we'll talk about coming from Broadcom. So next slide, please. Yes, as I said, I'm Mark O'Brien, and Roger will be talking about user group items, including the 15th conference coming up in the spring of 2026. And then John's got latest information about Plex 2E and Plex and 2E, then followed by our lightning talk speakers. And so we've got a lot, and let's think at this point, I want to just give you advice on the next slide here, that there's a console for you to type your questions in at any time into that console, and we'll address them at the end as time permits. So at this point, I'd like to turn things over to Roger Griffith, our user group worldwide president, and Roger's got some announcements for you.
Thank you, Mark. So one of the things that we do at all of our conferences is we award best session awards. And at our last conference in Austin in October, we have 2 winners for best sessions, and they're actually going to be doing lightning talks today to give you kind of the highlights of what they talked about at the conference. And so we have 2 tracks. Track 1 is Roger Hammer and Kiyoshi. They talk about CM Evolve It, and we're going to have a lightning talk today from Kiyoshi. And track 2 is integrating AI with applications created in CA Plex, and Jordy Castillo is going to be talking today about giving us some of the highlights of that presentation. So it should be fun to see that. We're at a point right now where we need to start doing the planning for our next conference, which is the 15th conference. And some of the things that we need to sort out is where are we going to have the conference, and when is it going to be. So the location is something that we'd like the community to participate in helping us decide where we're going to have this conference. and we'll certainly try and pick some place that works for everyone and everyone can be excited about. And the conference is it's going to be sometime in the spring of 2026. We always go about 18 months between conferences, so that gives us about a year to start planning for this conference, and we'll keep everyone involved in that process of figuring out what the content's going to be and where it's going to be, and try and come up with a conference here that adds value to your to these tools that you guys all use.
Excellent, Roger. Now I'd like to hand it over to John Rhodes, who's got some latest and greatest information about Plex and 2E.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to alert folks that maybe weren't aware of the latest versions. We get questions all the time about this, you know, what's supported, what's not supported, what's end of life, etc. And yeah, believe it or not, Plex 7.3 has been out almost a year. I think it'll be May of 2024 is when it came out, and the year, the year coming up. A lot of times CA drops support for older versions 1 year after the next version. So we'll see. I don't know. I have not received any official communication on that, but a lot of people are speculating that maybe that's what CA will do. So I think it's time to start thinking about upgrading your Plex installation if you haven't already. There is a major upgrade in terms of Visual Studio. So if you're using C++ or C#, this affects you. We're going big jump in versions all the way up to 2022. Does require recompiling everything that you have in C++ or C#, so not something you can undertake lightly, but still shouldn't be a big thing. And by using the latest version of Visual Studio, you'll also be compatible with the latest versions of Microsoft operating systems, etc. So that's a really good thing, I think, that CA Broadcom has done that. A couple other minor things have gotten in the version 2 about saving your configuration, etc. But if you are interested in that, the README file is public on the Broadcom support site. You don't even need to log in to see what's there. Okay, and 8.7.4 from CA2E side came out last October, I believe. So we've got a few more months on that one. But if you're using CA2E, you may want to think about upgrading that as well to stay compliant by the end of the year. And then one last thing I wanted to mention is that Roger Griffith actually alerted me to it today, that Broadcom is working on an enhancement to CA Plex to support the deprecation of Microsoft VBScript. Microsoft has announced that VBScript will be no longer supported starting, I believe, next year, and then they're going to phase that in over a few years. But at some point, VBScript's just not going to work at all, okay? And that affects a number of applications. It's used extensively in CA Plex, but also a lot of other types of applications. So a pretty major impact. So it looks like Broadcom's working on replacing the VBScript with Python script. And I'm sure there'll be more information coming out on that. And hopefully the next conference we'll be able to provide the details on converting things to Python script. So that was all I wanted to say about that. Any questions though, please put them in the question app or send us an email later and we can help you help guide you through any upgrade issues or questions you might have. Okay, that's all I had. Roger or Mark?
Thanks a lot, John. Thank you for the updated information. The latest Python script is actually out as of this morning. So for people that don't think that anything ever goes on in the world of 2E and Plex, you're mistaken. I'd like to introduce our first lightning talk speaker, Jordy Castillo, who's, as Roger said, was the session winner. And his talk is going to be concerning use of AI with CA Plex. So welcome to the community, Jordy, as a speaker.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. Now we are going to say the integration of artificial intelligence with Plex or web client. I am Jordy Castillo. I will be your speaker. I have software engineer. I am software engineer. I have experience developing and integrating applications made with CA Plex and Visual Studio. And I have experience with administrative and agricultural and education solutions. The presentation of integration was divided into 5 parts. First, the antecedents is the way in which the processes were carried out before the implementation of the solution. And number 2, process definition, information about the implemented process will be discussed. Number 3, applied technology, the tools used to implement the solution will be explained. Number 4, the solution, how to use the implementation will be discussed. And number 5, results. The result of the integration will be displayed. The artificial intelligence, it is the ability of computer system to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, and adapting. Antecedents. For the implementation of artificial intelligence, the automation of the input material process was considered. In this process, data previously had to be entered manually into the system screen. For example, input materials needs dates, invoice, quantities, and amounts, and items, etc. The process definition. For this implementation, the artificial intelligence API offered by OpenAI was used. This platform offers different model or artificial intelligence engines, each one varying in the tasks they can perform, as well as the speed, reliability, and cost. The first 5 models that we see in the image, GPT-4o, GPT-4o mini, O1 preview, and O1 mini, GPT-4 turbo, and GPT-4, are those used to create a conversation with artificial intelligence. As I mentioned before, these models vary in their capacities, speeds, reliability, and cost. The GPT-4 model is the most advanced in terms of general capabilities. It offers excellent natural language understanding, reasoning, and context management. It is also the most expensive model. The other version of GPT-4 that we see, such as GPT-4o, GPT-4 mini, GPT-4 turbo, are models similar to its base model, GPT-4o, but with other features, such as being lighter, less expensive, with better performance, etc. GPT 3.5 models are more basic, especially for plain text processing. And the advantage is that they are cheaper than GPT-4 models. We also have models for generating image from natural language, such as DALL-E, and models for converting text to audio or audio to text, such as TTS, or whispers or embeddings. It is worth mentioning that the essential things that the API requests for its use is a token or API key, which is obtained by registering on the OpenAI platform, the artificial intelligence model to be used, and the request for what the API is required to do. Applied technology. Among the technology applies are OpenAI, CA Plex or web client, and SQL Server. As it is an API offered by OpenAI, it can be consumed from any programming language by sending requests. Now, we are going to see the demonstration of how the automation of the one process mentioned above works. The operation of this process consists of the user entering the data of the transaction that he wants to carry out in human language. And the artificial intelligence is in charge of analyzing this text to facilitate its comprehension and its subsequent creation in a system. In this process, the system expects a specific data that is needed for the creation of the transaction. This data is analyzed by the artificial intelligence and returned in JSON format, which internally specify to the artificial intelligence the structure in which the JSON will be formed. This to avoid the API returning JSON with various structures. Okay. This process is the input materials. To automate this process, we work with a request in English. However, this is not a mandatory rule. Any language can be used for its integration. For example, initially the request was made in Spanish. In this process, the system expects, for example, the name of the transaction, the invoice number, the supplier, date, the items, amounts, their quantities. Once the data is analyzed by artificial intelligence, it is presented on the screen so that the user can confirm that the data is correct. And once confirmed, the transaction is created. And we can see the create document. It is worth noting that it doesn't matter the order in which the request data is entered or whether you use synonyms to enter the expected data. This is because artificial intelligence analyzes the entire request made, regardless of the order in which the elements were defined. Okay, we can see the purchase document, the date, supplier, amounts, the quantities, the items. Another example of this functionality is combining with voice command dictation, in which the user dictates the data necessary to create an accounting record. For example, an artificial intelligence is responsible for converting this audio to text and send the data of interest extracted from his task. While it is true that the English language is used for the example, this can be implemented in any language. And we see the information that was dictated. And we see that when confirming the transaction, the accounting record is created in the system. Another use that has been considered for artificial intelligence is for consulting the names of medicines. For example, in a pharmacy where many medicines are handled, It can be useful in certain occasions to consult artificial intelligence for the most relevant information about a medicine, since sometimes it can be difficult to memorize the characteristics of all the medicines. Another use of artificial intelligence is for image analysis for the agro-industrial sector. For example, a farm might have a disease in the agricultural products they harvest and they want to know information about it. They can upload an image of the product and artificial intelligence will analyze the image, and based on that, it will try to give a diagnosis of what disease the product may have, as well as its cause and impacts, prevention, treatment, and other information. Here we can see an example of a sweet pepper with a disease, but the same will apply to disease of different products from different sectors, such as shrimp, fish, okra, apples, etc. Another use of artificial intelligence is for the identification and extraction of text from an image, better known as OCR, which is a technology that uses automated data extraction to quickly convert image with text into a machine-readable format. We can see an example of a bank receipt and how artificial intelligence can extract all the elements from it. It is worth mentioning that you can specify to the artificial intelligence the data that you want it to extract from the image, and we can use the information to create the transaction in the system. It is important to mention to keep in mind that the image to be processed must be clear and as far as possible, not have spots, stripes, or any object. That could prevent it from being clearly readable, since if the image has any element that affects its readability, it can cause the artificial intelligence to directly say that it cannot process it, or to process and if the data, it returns my present erroneous data. The cost and limitation of use. OpenAI offers a paid API, which requires you to first recharge some credits to use. Once recharged, each request made we consume the recharge credits. These credits are recharged from the OpenAI platform itself using credits or debit card, and the amount to be recharged must be between $5 and $95. The consumption of these credits varies depending on the model and the request to be made. If you use the most powerful model, such as GPT-4o or GPT-4o 4o, it will present a higher cost than if you were to use a model with a lower capacity, for example, GPT 3.5 Turbo. Another aspect that affects credit consumption is the size or difficulty of the request. For example, if you use the image processing, you'll consume many more credit than if you only use plain text processing. To give an example of consumption, approximately 15 to 20 plain text requests with the request length shown above using the most basic model, which is GPT 3.5 Turbo, consume 1 cent of dollar, while approximately 1 to 2 image processing requests with the most complete model, for example, GPT-4 consumes 1 cent of dollar as well. As a curious fact, the GPT-4 model is used for image processing because it has the capacity to perform this task. A model like the GPT 3.5 Turbo doesn't have this capacity. And conclusion, it's key to the artificial intelligence as process automation. It is key to improving the time in which employees complete a task and present reduction in the possibility of the employee making an error. And the artificial intelligence as a virtual assistant, it is essential to improve productivity since it provides a very broad source of information and helps to quickly clear up any doubt you may have about a real-life process or case. And here I end my participation. I hope it has been important and interesting and has allowed me to provide ideas or alternatives for integrating this technology into your application developed in Plex or Webline in order to offer more robust applications that make it easier for users to use them. For any technical questions or queries regarding the integration of this applied technology, please contact us via email and we'll be happy to help you resolve your concept. Thanks for your time and see you later.
Well, thank you very much, Jordy. That was quite a rapid fire roundup of AI and uses of Plex, and we're sure going to see more of this going forward. We now have a poll question at the end of that talk, which is basically, how are you using AI within your organization? Good feel how Jordy's doing it at Sodiza. So, are you considering how to use AI? You're actually piloting a program or an experiment? Are you in production with parts of your organization? Are you in production and even doing something integrating CA2E or Plex code in your AI, or do you just feel that AI is just too immature at this point and you're not not doing anything? So very solidly, considering how to use it. We're looking at the best thing. Maybe you got an idea today that might push you into the actual into the actual piloting. And this is nice that there are people looking at it in production and actually doing production with TUI or with Plex. And only 12% think that the technology is too immature. So thank you very much. Now I can introduce my next speaker. So Kiyoshi Kurosawa. And Kiyoshi will be talking about maintaining and modernizing legacy TUI and Plex systems. And that was our second section award winner. So take it away, Kiyoshi.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for the opportunity to present. So, well, okay. So I talk about GML Bob IT. I hope audience at least heard about. We are here probably 5 years or 5 year plus now. So now talking about the Bob IT specifically for TUI and Plex, and I do demo a lot, but today I use mainly the TUI mode. So, but anyway, so this is agenda, and so Above IT provide a static view of CA2 and CA Plex and model and application. It's not just a model. So it use model generated source and external component like a menu to load a repository. We call it the inventory, and it provides some view of your application. So such as in the layer and the recursive relationship, so like a simply crazy call graph with database. That's one big simple way to say. And yeah, the source code search capabilities will integrate with the pre-indexed search engine, so the search could be very fast. And some AI powered playground we provide to get the help of AI, like source code and etc. So okay, well, so again, I do talk about this time like mainly for CA2E mode. That's since the most effort made since last conference. But so what's new for that is so we have source code scanning to extract a message program called by generated source. So this is kind of, I mean, action diagram. You do use a message, like send a message or whatever. But obviously the TUI or Plex, even Plex, using built-in part of logic, and then it's used some message which user doesn't do, but it's actually doing that. So when we analyzing that, sometimes that kind of built-in message is important. So we now extracting by scanning the source, not the model, because the model doesn't tell you. And now we added an array object and DDS source view, so panel report table view, we can see that we generated panel report, and we integrated it with AI for that. And analysis security, so list all asset appears from the entry point. Well, I show demo later too. So, and asset group, just a group, anything. So it's like a tag or some grouping concept that will help to work on something focused. And more AI prompt to do some job. Yeah, okay. It's some screenshot. I do live demo, but this is good to record for when you get the slide. So for 2E, as you know, if you have external function and calling internal function, so that will become the source code. So I mean, only the external has source code, internal doesn't have source code, but has logic. So there's probably no way to find out what's the external calling internal within the 2E model, but there's a new query provide to genuine, and then it's only list external entry point calling any layer of internal function too. Yeah. And analysis query, so just starting from menu function, just a list all of these assets appear. So this is good group information to have, what is involved for this system, this application. So table view, function, menu, message, panel, report, array. So those appear in the one shot. Okay, so I try run. So I do demo later. Okay, so let me go to, so for some people, it's maybe first time to see this. So just go go around. So there's a object browser which lists some familiar type of object. So this is 2E mode: function, panel, report, database schema, table view, param, field, value, constant, message, array, entity. So those are all come from the 2E model plus something. And then similarly for the Plex mode, so you see the menu function, database schema, column, message, source code, entry, entity. So that's just appear. Loaded, we have a static loading process using the model on the source code. Now, just a little bit to show. Okay, so for instance, I have in the function just a pre-filter my name, input name, and then you see that function. If I click that, detail button, you see the information about this function. So it's like a type is external, internal function, language set RPG4, and also even the internal 2E surrogate number is there. And you can do, you can do display code, view source, so that the right hand is a generated RPG, and this is action diagram as a text, etc. And then, so one thing I can do is there's a direction of a call graph, so I can do forward, and then neighbor is just a calling single layer. It's go deep. I can do full view, and a full view just to show the some function appear, but I can do GenUnit. So GenUnit is the one that the slide had. So this function, external function as entry, this 3 is called. So this 4 function become the one source code. So even it can be. So this is the view of that. So external calling. Yeah. So if this one call external, this one call external, that's filtered out, doesn't appear here. Okay. Okay. And then so array. So this is something. So this model has this 4, 5, 6 array. So array show the field and the function using, etc. And then some property of array displayed. Like a panel. So I go panel. So panel show the display file here. And if I do view source, you see the DDS generated by 2E. And I do little AI here. So go to the AI analysis, and then left hand is just the source code I selected. And so there's a prompt, predefined prompt. So convert display file DDS to Angular. So if I do this, well, it's just converting DDS to Angular things. So we have other type of prompt defined. So yeah, so, but this is kind of a single chat playground this tool provide, and can do some work. Okay. And also, this guy has capability to have your menu. So, well, menu is sometimes defined in the model as application, sometimes externally, especially 2E, maybe a lot of time, like I use some other utility to define the menu. So like a Y2 menu. So this is just a very small, but it has, main menu called 3 function, and has a master menu then calling the sub functions. So I do this again. This show the local information. I mean the direct relation. So you see the 3 and the 4. So one menu. There's again the forward, and so it has the analysis. Well, through it, I mean, all the call graph to appear. So it's now 9 function and one menu appear, but more than that. So if I do analysis option, so it's now showing up. There's a 34 database involved, including table. So I mean, obviously the 3 only access view, but we can move up to the table to find out. So these are all the database appear in this for this menu, and the 71 function appear. Different function type, obviously. And the one submenu and the 32 message. So this is a message including some user call from AD, but this like a EX not found. That's just it's generated by like a retrieve index or retrieve object or create object. So those appear too, and also there's a 21 panel UI information. So this together has some kind of information what's used for this menu application. Okay. Okay, and go back to slide. Okay. So based on those, we kind of currently working to do some extra things. So AI analysis with RAG. So I don't go too deep, but so I show the source code to submit with a question and then converting. But so we are working on the pre-indexing some of the source code to be pre-processed and then use it. So the goal is like we could analyze maybe 10 functions together and then get some information about those 10 functions. So that's kind of going on. And also we experiment hosting LLM, I mean, AI engine basically in-house on-premise. So lots of, organization has also concerns about how to protect the data you submit to AI. So if you go, the Microsoft hosting or, Google hosting or whatever, I mean, it's at least they say they protect, but lots of people are scared to submit the data. I mean, some sensitive data too. So we are experimenting, the on-premise hosting. So this offer will host together with LLM. I mean, so that's going on, and also CI/CD modernization. So the reason behind we have like analysis, like from menu to have list everything is we kind of experiment the application convert to the this is just a native Angular with TypeScript and Java Spring Boot project. So with that for that purpose, we need to know what the scope of a target object. So that's kind of behind the scene. But so hopefully soon I can talk about this last subject too in here. Okay.
Excellent.
And so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kiyoshi. On the heels of Kiyoshi's talk, we've got another poll question for you. It's a really good one. If you could wave a magic wand and start using a new language for your Plex or TUI applications, what would that language be? Would it be C#, .NET? How about Java? How about JavaScript or TypeScript? Would it involve business rules or a workflow app, or not considering any new languages? Okay, let's see the results. So C#, .NET, popular, more popular than Java. JavaScript, actually the most popular single response. And then business rules or workflow app under consideration. And then about a fifth of you wouldn't consider any new languages. Oh. Our last speaker today is Michael Morgan, and he's doing a lightning talk. So Mid-Range Dynamics, who's been a Gold Conference sponsor, and how to keep your IBM I humming and prevent production downtime. So turn over the reins to Michael and introduce you. And this is the first time that you've spoken at quarterly webcast. So
thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to speak about MD Rapid. I'm the lead architect at Mid-Range Dynamics for the MD Rapid product, and its purpose is to drastically minimize production downtime as it applies to your DB2 database that runs on the IBM I for those applications that are running there. Some use cases where you're going to expect to have significant downtime currently around database changes. Let's say you need to reorganize a table for performance purposes or disk purposes. You may perhaps have a significant number of deleted records in your tables. So that can take a long time if you're running a reorganized physical file member or something similar. Can take hours, even days for very, very large tables. For those that want to modernize their database, getting from DDS to SQL in order to take advantage of all the capabilities baked into the SQL language on the IBM I, that effort can also come with it quite a lot of downtime in order to get all of those changes in place within your production environment. Adding, deleting, changing existing fields. Perhaps you need to do a field expansion project. You've run out of room based on the growth of your organization. Those as well, especially as you may be needing to deploy dozens or hundreds of table changes to production simultaneously, and as a cumulative effect, can take a very, very long time to do. Field procedures, I'm sure there's a lot of organizations on this call where you're looking at encrypting data directly on the tables. Those are very expensive processes from a time perspective and can also take quite a bit of time without having your application having access to those tables while applying procedures to them. Then converting to partition tables, we're seeing more and more for large shops running large applications. They're hitting that 1.6 or so billion record upper limit for what they can have in a table. So they're converting to partition tables that allows them to have up to 256 times that upper limit, but doing so also can be quite expensive from a time perspective. So MD Rapid, what it brings to the table is that it prepares everything in the background while your application is still live. Getting anything compiled that's not already compiled, transformation of the data, copying the data from your live environment, and not just from a given schema or library. You may have dozens of division libraries, each with its own set of tables that you need to update with new field definitions all at the same time. It's doing all of that to a temporary environment that it automatically builds up for you while your application is live. So temporarily you will have your live copy of the table and you'll have the new version of your table residing concurrently on a given partition this is running on. As the data is copied, it's also keeping track of any journal transactions that are occurring against the live version of the table and automatically mapping those to the new version as well. And then it rebuilds all the indexes. That's something else that can take hours or days if you have hundreds of indexes over your tables. It takes care of that in the background. Gives you an opportunity to do any testing against this environment before you go live with it, and you're testing it based on that new data and any transformations you've done to the table to catch that, and then the deployment itself. And the actual deploy is where it's just down to seconds of time at that point, because all it needs to do is a move object from your live files to a backup library that it auto-generates, then a move object from the new files into your application libraries. And then it's back on again. You can also have defined scripts and commands that will automatically run prior to these seconds of downtime and then after the seconds of downtime to start and stop servers, stop subsystems, end jobs, whatever you need to ensure that that downtime really stays under a potential limitation of a minute or less. All of this background preparation, it's you can ring fence it. First of all, you can indicate how many processors our MD Rapid is allowed to use. So it can take a longer time, but it's not impacting your live applications either through locks or through performance losses due to that. And in spite of that, though, you can easily pause or end the MD Rapid processes as necessary in order to do an IPL or to give full capability or capacity to your applications and then restart them again. Even if you have an unplanned outage, such as loss of power, MD Rapid can pick up where it left off for the preparation phase. The other big thing, as I mentioned briefly, is the ability to test. So today, without MD Rapid, you're relying on a test environment that may only allow partial testing and maybe not pick up edge testing and the full record set that you may have in production. So you may catch these 3 bugs, but maybe there's a couple you don't find. You've converted your environment after hours or days of production downtime, and you put it in, you realize, oh, we didn't catch those, we have a serious problem, now you've got to roll back. And if you've just done an alter table without MD Rapid, that could also take a very long time. With MD Rapid, you have a full test environment with all cases, just as it is in production. You have a better opportunity to catch all of the bugs, it's fully tested, and then you go live with it and avoid a lot of those risks that are incumbent with not being able to test fully. Now, how does that look from a user's perspective? First of all, you can register which tables that you want to change with MD-Rapid, and then it'll automatically pick up any indexes and views and other database relations that are necessary for you, and will have those handled in the order necessary, taking care of shared access paths and other performance enhancements. And you can directly register that in green screen, RDI, Visual Studio Code, which I'm showing here, or our web application. Additionally, you can import these registrations directly from a CA2E model or from this generation or build library out of that model, or you can import from the CA Plex staging library from that generation, or you can register these objects via command or REST API. And then what you have the ability to do is any data transformation rules. You can set them on the individual columns that you want for any new fields or existing fields using SQL syntax, allowing you to use user-defined functions or intrinsic functions or any other values to set those here. This reduces coding time. You don't have to separately write complicated scripts or programs or other things to set what that data should look like for these fields. And it happens all in line during that background copying, so that you don't have additional downtime during the window getting all of these changes in. And importantly, you can validate all of these results before deployment. So this is very, very useful for the developers. And then we have an MD-Rapid console where you can then track the status and progress of MD-Rapid as it's preparing everything for bringing in these changes into your environments across all the different libraries. In this situation, we've got 3 different target libraries for that given table change, number of records, how far it's going to be, when the estimated date and time is of everything to be ready for then doing the actual hard production disruption of a couple of seconds to move those in. And with MD-Rapid, so we've got all of these different components that you've set up once, typically in a development test or user test environment, where you're setting up all the different triggers, commands, scripts, the objects that are going to be impacted by this deployment. And that creates then a reusable digital deployment configuration that you can easily transfer to all of your other environments on your other partitions across your entire organization in order to repeat that process as you go towards and include production, so that you're not haven't only tested your changes itself, you've tested the process, so you have a very high degree of confidence in how long you will require in order to get everything staged for going to deployment of these database changes, as well as how long, how many seconds you'll actually need to have for your disruption to your application window. I've kept this short to keep the webinar on time. And if you have any other questions, of course, you can reach out to CM first or reach out to us, and we'll be happy to give you lots more details and possible demo if you wish. Thank you, Mark.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael. Our last poll question, really quickly, basically is kind of what was the most relevant topic that you heard about from Michael? Would it be reorganizing table data, converting DDS to DDL, adding or changing fields, adding field processes, or converting to partition tables? So the table data was the most popular topic, Michael, and then followed by adding or changing fields, and then converting DDS to DDL. So I want to thank Michael and Jordy and Kiyoshi today. That was really good. And thank you very much for everyone's time. And we have an exit poll as you leave also too. So look forward to that, and also to receiving or sending out more information about the conference, the next conference as well too. So have a great day, great evening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webcast. Bye-bye now.